Imagine AI writes the client email in 10 seconds, and the second sentence hides the problem. It promises a deadline your team can't meet. It sounds professional, it's polite, it's almost ready to send. AI didn't make a spelling mistake, it made a business mistake. This video isn't about whether AI can make the draft, it's about whether you can judge the draft before your name is attached to it. By the end, you'll have a practical approval test for knowing when AI helped and when it only made weak work look finished. The wrong question. Most AI job conversations start with the same question. Will AI replace me? It's understandable. If a tool can write, summarize, research, plan, code, design, and reply, of course people look at their own job and wonder which part is next. But that question is too broad to be useful. AI doesn't hit a job all at once. It hits parts of work: the draft, the summary, the first pass, the routine analysis, the list of options, the email you didn't want to write. And once those parts get faster, the human role doesn't disappear in one clean step, it moves. The person is no longer only asked, "Can you produce this?" They are asked, "Can you tell if this is worth using?" That's a very different skill. Gallup's 2026 Workplace AI Indicator says half of US employees use AI at work at least a few times a year. 28% use it a few times a week or more. 13% use it daily. So this is no longer just a question for early adopters or tech teams. It's becoming a normal work question. When AI gives you something that looks ready, what do you do next? That's where weak work starts to show. Not because the person is slow, not because they can't type, but because they can't explain what good looks like. Output gets cheap. Review gets expensive. Here is the shift that matters. AI makes the first version cheaper, the first email, the first slide, the first research summary, the first campaign idea, the first draft of a proposal. That sounds like pure productivity. And sometimes it is. But faster output also creates a second-order problem. More things now need review. If one person used to write 2 drafts in an afternoon, now they might generate 10 options in 20 minutes. That doesn't automatically mean the team has 10 good options. It means the team has 10 things to judge. Microsoft's 2026 Work Trend Index found that 49% of analyzed Copilot conversations supported cognitive work, including analysis, problem-solving, evaluation, and creative thinking. And among the AI users Microsoft surveyed, 50% named quality control of AI output as an important human skill, while 46% named critical thinking. That's the real signal. The machine can help create the thing, but someone still has to decide whether the thing is true, relevant, safe, useful, and aligned with the situation. Think about a meeting summary. AI can capture the bullet points, it can list the action items, it can clean up the notes. But what if the real decision in the meeting was not the loudest sentence? What if the client sounded hesitant? What if the team agreed in words, but everyone knew the timeline was unrealistic? The summary may be accurate on the surface and still miss the meaning. That's not a typing problem, that's judgment. And this is why AI can make some weak work more visible, not less. Before AI, weak judgment sometimes hid behind effort. A messy draft at least looked like someone tried. Now AI can remove the mess. It can make weak thinking look clean. That changes the bottleneck. Polish is not proof. Here is the trap. Bad work no longer has to look bad. A well-formatted slide feels more strategic than a messy note. A fluent email feels more thoughtful than a rough one. A confident summary feels more reliable than a hesitant explanation. AI is very good at producing that feeling. It can make a strategy slide that sounds smart but avoids the real trade-off. It can make a content draft that reads smoothly but says nothing your audience hasn't heard before. It can make a project plan that looks organized but ignores the team's actual capacity. The pattern usually isn't dramatic. That's what makes it dangerous. The slide doesn't look foolish. It looks complete. The draft doesn't look careless. It looks clean. The plan doesn't announce, "I ignored the budget." It simply assumes the budget will work out. None of those outputs are useless. They may be useful starting points. But the danger is that polish arrives before proof. McKinsey's 2025 State of AI survey found that 88% of organizations report regular AI use in at least one business function, but only about 1/3 say they have begun scaling AI programs. That gap matters because using AI and getting durable value from AI are not the same thing. You can have the draft and still lack the standard. You can have the plan and still miss the constraint. You can have the answer and still need someone to say, "Wait, what are we assuming?" That's the reset point. Before you approve the output, pause long enough to ask a more uncomfortable question. Not, "Does this sound good?" "What would go wrong if I trusted this too quickly?" The 5 checks. Use 5 checks in this order. Truth, is it correct? Context, does it fit this situation? Risk, what breaks if we use it? Usefulness, who does this actually help? Responsibility, whose name is on it? That order matters. First you verify the facts, then you fit the situation, then you check the downside. Then you ask whether the output helps the person receiving it. Only after that do you decide whether anyone should own it. Take the same AI-generated client proposal. Truth asks whether the numbers, names, deadlines, and claims can be verified before they leave your team. Context asks whether the proposal fits this client, this relationship, and this moment, not just a generic buyer. Risk asks what promise could backfire if the client says yes. Does the proposal overcommit? Does it sound certain about something that's still uncertain? Does it hide a dependency the team has not solved? Usefulness asks whether the proposal makes the client's next decision easier, or whether it only sounds impressive. Responsibility asks the uncomfortable question: would you defend this if it fails? If the answer is no, the output isn't ready. It may be a useful draft. It may be a useful starting point. But it isn't finished work yet. Notice what the 5 checks do. They slow down the exact moment where AI feels most convincing, not at the blank page. Not when you're asking for ideas. The dangerous moment is later, when the output looks good enough to move forward and everyone is tired enough to accept it. That's why the approval test matters. It turns "this sounds right" into "this can be defended." That doesn't mean you should be afraid of using AI. It means the human role is moving closer to standards. You set the bar, you check the claims, you decide what is good enough. You know when the output needs revision, when it needs a human expert, and when it should be rejected. These checks separate people who merely use AI from people who can safely approve AI-assisted work. Who becomes more valuable? Picture 2 people receiving that same AI-generated plan. The first person reads it, likes the clean structure, and forwards it because it looks done. The second person slows down for 90 seconds. They notice the plan assumes a team member is available next week. They see that the success metric is vague. They catch one claim that needs a source. They remove a promise the team can't defend. Both people used AI. Only one improved the work. That's the difference this video is about. Using AI is already becoming too weak as a career signal. Soon, many people will have drafts, summaries, options, images, code snippets, and plans. The stronger signal will be whether their work gets better after AI touches it. Can they spot the thin idea? Can they catch the unsupported claim? Can they ask for the missing context before the output travels further? The stronger worker is not the one who can say, "I used AI." It is the one who can point to the draft and say, "This claim is unsupported. This promise is risky. This part is not ready yet." That's the quiet test AI keeps creating in ordinary work, again and again, every week. And it isn't limited to managers. A creator faces it before publishing a script that sounds confident but repeats the same advice everyone else is giving. A freelancer faces it before sending a proposal that looks polished but promises a turnaround they can't control. A small business owner faces it before using an AI-written policy, email, or landing page that sounds official but has never been checked against the actual business. Because AI doesn't remove judgment from work, it pushes judgment into a more visible place. And when judgment becomes visible, weak work has fewer places to hide. So the real lesson isn't AI will replace everyone, and it's not AI will replace no one. The better question is, what part of the work becomes easier? And what part becomes more important because of that? For a lot of knowledge work, production is getting easier, evaluation is getting more important. So before you send the next AI-assisted draft, don't ask only, does this sound finished? Ask, would I defend this if it fails? That one question changes the way you use AI. It doesn't make you slower in the old way, it makes you harder to fool by speed. If this helped, follow for signal, not noise. And the next question is even sharper. If output gets cheap, what kind of human judgment becomes hardest to copy?